Welcome to Virtual Momentum. At the core of healing, celebrating our connections. Before we begin, I just want to remind you that tomorrow is the night we've been waiting for, the main live event. So set a reminder on your phone because at 5:30 we're gathering for happy hour, followed by our keynote speaker Madeline Gianforti at 6 p.m. We are really looking forward to seeing your faces. But for tonight, we have a class that's going to focus on putting healthy energy into your body. Sonia Vasquez is our wellness and nutrition manager, and she has the incredible ability of making healthy eating a lot of fun. She will share with you a class called Discover the Healing Power of Mushrooms and Garlic. She will teach you how to make a delicious and medicinal mushroom, garlic, and white bean soup to boost your digestion and immune system. So we hope you enjoy. Thank you for connecting, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Good morning, my name is Sonia Vasquez, and I'm going to teach you today how to make a healing soup using different mushrooms, herbs, and other foods to support your immune system. So this recipe usually takes 2 days to make. First thing that we do is to create a very powerful broth using reishi mushrooms, burdock, and astragalus. But I didn't have astragalus with me right now, and it's very difficult to find in the market at this point. So I'm just using these two, and also shiitake mushrooms. So what I did yesterday, I created first a very strong decoction of just the burdock and reishi mushrooms for about 4 to 5 hours, simmering in a very low heat until half of the liquid evaporated. So what was left was a very strong mushroom and burdock broth. Those two herbs are those two plants and mushrooms are very supportive of the immune system, and burdock root is especially supportive of the digestive system. It really helps to repopulate the gut microbiome, and reishi mushrooms are in general, a very strong adaptogenic. After those 4 to 5 hours simmering, I added to what was left of the broth, I added mushroom broth that I already had, but you can also use any bone broth or vegetable broth that you might have at home. We try to use as many ingredients that we have in our pantry already. And then after that, while the broth was still a little bit warm, I added shiitake mushrooms, which are very nutritional and also very supportive of the immune system. What we're going to do today, we are going to add the other ingredients to the soup to finalize the preparation. So the first thing is, this is the broth that was left. So what I did yesterday, which I missed to mention, is that before I added the shiitake mushrooms, I extracted the reishi and the burdock out of the broth, and then I added the shiitake mushrooms. And today, I just strained the shiitake out of the broth, and we're going to use it later on. Burdock, and I'm just going to leave a little bit of burdock too for the soup, but most of it, and also the reishi mushrooms, because they're very woody, very hard to eat, and usually not recommended to eat, just to use in decoctions or other preparations or powders and things like that, or extracts. We can use this as a compost, so we shouldn't be eating this. All right, so I have the broth here, and what I have done, I have added some herbs that are very rich in minerals, like parsley, nettles, and also the recipe called for kelp. And I only have this kind of roasted kelp that I use for sushi, and then I'm going to use this, which is what I have. we just grind it out and try to break it up as much as we can, and we just let it simmer, let it simmer for just maybe like 15 minutes. In the meantime, what we're going to do is I have chopped in the food processor onions, garlic. The recipe also calls for ginger, but I don't have fresh ginger. So I'm going to substitute with dry ginger, which I already have. And what we're going to do while the broth is simmering with the mineral herbs is we're going to saute the onions and with dry ginger, which is what we have here. We use an entire bulb of fresh garlic, and we're going to saute the shiitake mushrooms as well. And we're going to saute this in coconut oil. So I didn't have enough coconut oil, but I had already this coconut CBD infused coconut oil that I make, and it's very relaxing and supportive of the immune system as well as an anti-inflammatory. So I'm going to combine a little bit of this with really pure butter, because it's just what I have, just to keep the we want a little bit of saturated fat in this recipe, but not too much. So now that these butters and oils have melted, I'm going to add mushrooms and onions. I'm going to use the powdered ginger as well, powdered ginger. For this recipe, I'm using it's just a very smaller proportion of what the original recipe is. So I'm using a lot less ingredients because this is what I have at home. But we will be sharing the recipe so you can adjust it accordingly if you're lucky enough to have all the ingredients at home. I'm going to bring some salt. I usually like to use black salt because it's lower in sodium, it's healthier. Pepper. So this is very fragrant. And I would like to add a little bit of chili or cayenne pepper. Finally. Sorry, I was looking for the cayenne pepper. Because I want this to be a little bit spicy, but not too much. If you have fresh cayenne pepper, you can use that as well. Okay. This is looking good. And now I'm adding the mushrooms. So rehydrating the mushrooms as well as heating it up, it really helps to release a lot of the constituents that are very supportive of the immune system. So that's why we're doing the process this way. And I'm just going to increase the temperature here a little bit. You can also add other things, that turnips or carrots or even potatoes if you want to more creamy texture, and also even other vegetables as well. Okay, now that this is ready, we're going to add a can of coconut milk just to combine the flavors, but also because the fats in the coconut oil extracts much better some of the nutrients and minerals from the mushrooms. So we mix here for a little bit, and then we're going to combine these two. let it simmer for a couple of minutes. Now that the ingredients are nicely combined, we're going to add this to the broth. For a creamy, like, texture. And now we're going to also add some white beans. You can use cannellini white beans or any other type of white beans that you have at home. I should be adding a lot more white beans, but this is all I have with me right now, because that also helps to make the recipe a little bit more creamy. Now we combine both ingredients. As you can see, it has a very nice texture. We don't want to. Okay, and now I'm going to take a little bit of the soup, and you can put it in the blender. I'm going to use the same the food processor, because it's already kind of has some of the onion still and so on. And this is to give the soup a little bit of more consistency. So that is a little bit creamier. Going to add this now to the soup. Back to the soup. I'm going to taste it, but I think that it's pretty much ready. You can also add additional coconut oil, which I think this one could use a little bit more of oil, and ginger as well. So we're going to add more coconut oil to the soup. Coconut milk, I'm sorry. It has a very strong garlic taste. And really this is a kind of soup that you want to take in very small cups once a day, maybe with your lunch meal, for dinner. It's kind of, it acts as a food, but also it's a very powerful medicine that you can use in your everyday life and consistently. You can, for example, freeze some of them and then consume it, let's say 3 times a week, so you don't get sick of it. Or you can just use it as your daily meal as well, or as to complement to like a side dish or something to your meals. So I hope you enjoyed the recipe, and enjoy the rest of the week.